Good afternoon, everybody. It is me. It is D to the J with the rollaway, and we are live on Let Go Radio and also on Facebook Live to do the My CP Does Not Define Me redo episode 2. Tried to do this yesterday and things just didn't work out. Had a couple of things I had to edit, so I said, you know what? I'm just going to redo the whole thing. And I would like to welcome everybody who is joining in with me. I do thank you for tuning in. And we have a lot to talk about today. So as I said, we are live on www.letgoradio.net. And we are also live on Facebook Live. Can I say live one more time? We are live. There we go. I said it twice. Hope everybody is having a wonderful Thursday afternoon. I actually wanted to go over just a couple things. Do keep in mind that we have the Cerebral Palsy Day coming up on October the 6th. We're going to have a virtual conference. It's going to be a one-day event. It's going to be amazing. We're going to have kind of just like we did with the Cerebral Palsy Awareness Conference, but this is going to be a one-day event. It is going to be from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. If you would like to, or if you're interested in speaking for the one-day conference for the National Cerebral Palsy Awareness Day, please contact the CEO and founder of Kelly's Choice, Miss Edwina Wilson, at kellyschoicecares@gmail.com. Again, that's Kelly's, Kellys, Choice, CHOICE, cares, CARES, at gmail.com for more information to be a speaker for the conference on October the 6th. It's going to be a great day. It's going to be a great time, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, what we're going to cover today, I want to cover the changes that have gone through to My CP Does Not Define Me. So, I am DJ Carter. I am the host of formerly the Sports Minion Radio Show, which used to be on Wednesdays at 2. That is now moved to Friday at 5:30. Now, what I have done, my YouTube channel has primarily become, I have actually changed the title of my YouTube channel from the Sports Minion Radio Show to My CP Does Not Define Me. Now, the Sports Minion Radio Show is still happening. I still have the like page, and we still do that on Facebook Live and on Let Go Radio on Fridays at 5:30. That still does happen. But what I have now done is I have formatted my YouTube channel with CP Green. I have changed my title of my YouTube channel. I've changed the background. I've changed the pictures. And I've also changed the playlist. So we have the playlists now that are going to have all of the episodes on YouTube. And in this description, there is a link to go to my YouTube channel. If you right-click on that link, the entire link, you have to highlight it and click Go to YouTube Channel. It will take you to My CP Does Not Define Me, and you will have all the access to watch my shows on YouTube as well. So we do have that available. I do want to get that out there. Please share this. Please let everybody know. Now, what we're going to do with this show is we're into our second episode. Is every week I'm going to talk about a different CP topic, okay? Sometimes we're going to talk about equipment. Sometimes we're going to talk about handicap parking. Sometimes we're going to talk about several topics in one episode. If you guys would like to talk about a topic or hear about a topic, you can email me at carterdj85@gmail.com, or you can also email me at the Sports Minion Radio Show at yahoo.com. Those two emails are available for my CP Does Not Define Me and also for the Sports Minion Radio Show. If you'd like to hear a topic on this show or possibly be a guest to talk about a topic, you can email me and let me know. We will talk about it and decide. All right, so what we're going to talk about today, I kind of talked about it a little bit yesterday. Hey, Nikki, thank you for joining me. As others come in, I'll see your names pop up. Please comment because I'd love to hear from you. Let me know who is here. Hey, Miss Smith, how are you? How are you? Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it so much. I want to go over what happened to me yesterday because this is going to lead into the first topic that I'm going to talk about. When it comes to power chairs, a lot of you know that if you have CP and you use a power chair, okay, know for a fact that when you have any work done to your power chair, regardless of your company. Okay, when you replace your old parts, don't get rid of them. When you order new parts, okay, make sure that you have your old parts and keep them because they are still usable when they come out of your chair. Okay, when you get new parts, any new parts, whether it's shocks, whether it's cushions, whether it's footrest, foot plates, anything like that, any part of the footrest, make sure that you hold on to those parts. The reason I'm saying this is because it's very vital when it comes to getting these parts replaced. You have an automatic warranty with most companies. Now, here's where it's going to get you. Most of the time, that warranty will change when it comes to the part that you get. The detailed part, like if it's a motor or something like that, most of the time the parts on those are 1 year. Now, sometimes it can be 6 months, but most of them that I've seen are up to 1 year. Again, if you're joining into the Sports Menu Radio Show, please comment right now. Let me know who you are and if you're here so I can actually see you and make sure that we know that we acknowledge you, because all the names are not popping up as you come in. Sometimes Facebook does that. All right, but here's the thing. I actually got my shocks replaced in my chair yesterday, and it took about a month and a half for everything to get in. My chair was doing what was called dipping, okay, where that actually means that the front of my chair was doing this. Okay, when I would ride in my chair, every time I would go forward or go over a bump, my chair would actually dip and go down. Okay, so I ended up having to get what's called I have performance shocks on my chair, I have spring shocks, and I have basic shocks. Okay, I have 3 different types of shocks on my chair. So each of those are 2 on each side because they're behind both tires. So I basically had to pay $157. I broke that down into 3 payments to be able to pay for this because my insurance only covers 80/20, which is 80% of durable medical. Now with CP, if you don't have Medicaid, that's another thing you got to look at. Your insurance. What does your insurance cover? Set up payments with these guys. Let them know what you're able to pay. Let them know what you're able not to pay. And don't let them tell you we can only stretch it out this far. There are a lot of companies, if they want you to get their parts from them, they will work with you and let you know that they can set up payments for you. Okay. The other option I was talking about is the warranty that comes in with each part that you get on your chair. As you get a part, make sure that you understand when you got it. Make sure you understand when it's installed, and that is when that warranty begins. If anything happens in between that time that it gets installed and that 6-month to 1 year to 2 year warranty, whatever that 1 or 2 year warranty is, whatever your chair company specifies, make sure that if anything happens to that chair that you don't do yourself, you got to be honest, that you don't do yourself. Make sure that you call the company that you are working with. Make sure that you call your wheelchair company that you are working with and let them know that you are needing to get this chair fixed, that it's under warranty, and let them know, and keep your paperwork. That's a big one. Make sure that you hold on to your paperwork that shows when you got the parts installed so that the company knows that you've got this warranty from this date to this date, whatever the warranty length is. Okay? So that's a biggie. So I got my shocks replaced yesterday, and what happened was when they replaced the shocks, I was in bed because I couldn't be in the chair while they were replacing them. So I got in after he left, and I noticed the shocks were not working properly. So what I did was I called my company that works on my chair, and I actually like the tech that works on my chair a lot for the company that I use. I use New Motion, and yes, there have been some problems, but overall they're a really good company and have good management. I don't like the shipping department. That's a little bit of another story. But everything else with New Motion is pretty good. I have to say they do treat me right. I know the manager over there very well. That's numotion.com. If you guys are looking for a wheelchair company to fix your chair or get your chair looked at, they do a lot of different things. They have good ATPs, which is an assisted technology professional that helps you get fitted for. The reason I wanted to talk about this is because when I got in my chair and I noticed that shocks weren't working right, I called Kyle. That's the tech that works on my chair, and I told him, I said, Kyle, I said, unfortunately my chair is still dipping, and it's not working properly. He said, look, he said, let me finish up this appointment that I'm on, and he said I'll come over there as soon as I can and actually be over and fix it. So what he ended up having to do, he when he came back, he had the shocks put in properly, but there are springs that are attached to the shocks, and the springs start out like this. So what he did was he tightened them down, okay, so that it would absorb when I go forward or when I go over a bump and the front part of my chair starts to dip. The back spring would push back and the front spring would pull forward so that it would keep my chair even. So he basically tightened everything down and got it working, and everything's good with my chair now. I had a battery issue with my chair for months. They got that fixed. It turned out to be a bad batch of batteries. Things like that happen. It usually doesn't happen in 3 sets, and I can tell you it is very irritating at that point, but it does happen. Okay. Now, what we talked about yesterday, as we were getting into the show a little bit, I want to talk about different types of medical equipment as far as fitting to an individual. I think that every piece of medical equipment, any type, whether it's crutches, whether it's braces, whether it's medical shoes, whether it's a prone stander, whether it's a power chair, whether it's manual chair, whether it's a walker, every piece of equipment needs to be fitted to each cerebral palsy individual. If you guys want to comment on this, please feel free to do so. If you have questions throughout the show, please ask me. I will be glad to answer them as soon as I can. The reason I say this, a lot of people, we talked about this, and I had a lot of viewers yesterday, we were talking about AFOs. Those are braces that go over the legs. Now, AFOs, remember, any type of brace that you get, whether it's the brace that goes all the way up the leg, whether it's the half brace that only goes up partially and it's Velcroed in the front, or whether you have the hinge brace on the ankle, all of these braces are customizably fitted and done as a casting on the foot. And the casting is cut off, and then they take the cast and they formulate it into a AFO to see, how far the heel goes out and all of that. So once that's done, okay, this can take up to an hour to an hour and 45 minutes. It all depends on what type of AFO you're getting and how extensive it is. But when you get your AFOs, it is very important. It is very important that you make sure that you tell your therapist, whether it's occupational or physical or anybody that you're working with, of any discomfort that you have while you are in that office. Because all of the padding that is in the brace, they put the padding in there, but some of that padding does not work. Some of it is too thin, some of it is too thick, some of it doesn't sit right against your ankle, especially if you've had a surgery or pins in your ankle. I can give you an example of that in just a minute. So a lot of times what they have to do is they put molding on the inside of the braces to have extra padding, as well as the cushion that goes on the bottom of the ankle sometimes, because you're always putting pressure there. Sometimes it's the bottom of the whole foot. They actually do all of that, and then they go in and they put extra padding, but you've got to make sure that as you're walking, that it fits right to your ankle, that it fits right to your foot, and that it feels okay when you're walking in it. If there's any discomfort, make sure that you let your occupational therapist know. Make sure that they know what your occupational and physical therapists know. Make sure they know what's going on, where the pain is. Sometimes they have to widen the brace. The materials that most of the braces are made of are flexible. Okay, they can be actually opened up or closed in. If it's too loose, if it wiggles when you walk or it moves when you walk, they may need to snug that fit a little bit. You don't want it to be too tight, okay? One of the things that you want to look for, okay, when you are getting AFOs, now this is a biggie, okay? The shoes, when you get AFOs, need to be, most of the time in cases that I've seen, at least 2 sizes bigger and sometimes wider depending on the width of the actual brace. And this can be hard to find when it comes to, if you go to a regular store like Walmart or TJ Maxx or Payless, if they're still around, or Shop Shoe World, or whatever these shoe places are, a lot of times they're not going to have triple and quadruple wide, because the shoes are not manufactured, in that style a lot. They don't have a lot of big shoes. Now, sometimes they do. Sometimes you can get lucky and find the actual shoe size that you want. That you want to do and that you want to have. So, I mean, and if you want a, good design, that's why I say go online and actually look for a company that specializes in shoes with braces, to be able to get the proper shoe for you. And I would also get 2 pair, one without AFOs and one with, because some people can wear shoes without AFOs and some can't. I don't know, each disability is different. Everything is different when it comes to that. Now, also make sure, because this is, again, we're talking about, how the shoe feels. As far as some people are very particular on the design of their shoe, because sometimes one leg is longer than the other. My left leg is just about a quarter of an inch longer than my right leg. So for a time, I think from about the time I was 12 till I was about 18, I wore a lift on my shoe at the bottom to even my legs out, so that they would sit and everything would be proper. That comes into play when you have that brace in that shoe. That comes into play of how much that lift is going to take from that shoe. You actually need to go in and adjust that, so that you can go in and see, that this is comfortable. Okay, everything feels right. Now, the big issue here, and what we're talking about here, if you walk on crutches or a walker, okay, this is where this is going to entail a lot of difference. If you have a lift on your shoe and you are walking on crutches or a walker, and you are a centimeter off, and I mean by like that much, if your leg have just a little bit of give, sometimes they have to adjust the crutches to fit and not the shoe, because depending on how you walk, if you use the underarm crutches, you're going to push yourself up and slide through. If you use the loft strain or forearm crutches, you're going to put one in front of the other, move your foot, one in front of the other, move your foot. That's kind of how it works. There are tons of ways that you can walk. And as I said, it's each individual person's journey with the disability. And here's the thing. Don't get frustrated, because this can take a lot of time. Okay? Finding these little minute, movements where everything is just right. Everything has to be fitted everywhere, especially if you're getting a power chair with a lot of devices with incline and recline, to where the back goes back and the head goes back and you're able to stand up. All of that adjustment takes time. It takes time to get to know how to use it. It takes time to get to learn how you feel in the chair. When it comes to medical equipment, I've talked about this before. Pressure lifts are very important for a person with CP. Hey, Josh, how you doing? Thank you for joining us, brother. I appreciate it. I really want to emphasize this. Pressure lifts are probably one of the most important things you can do with CP. If you are in a chair for more than 4 hours a day or more than 4 hours at a time, you want to place your feet on the ground or on your footrest and lift your butt up off your cushion and move around a little bit, so that your butt doesn't sit in the same place for a long period of time. Because if you don't, what is going to happen is you are going to get pressure sores, and they are a bad deal. They take a long time to heal. They hurt. They mess up your skin. Sometimes you have to get grafts with it. You've got to be really, really careful, and you've got to take good care of yourself. Now, this is probably one of the biggest issues with CP that I cover. A lot of companies, and I'm not going to say any names, unless you know your company, unless you're very comfortable with your company, a lot of people will try to tell you what type of chair you need to get into. If you talk to people, if you say, hey, what chair do you use? What chair is that? Oh, this is the best chair on the market. They'll go through all the great features and all the great things. I really believe that when you go to get a chair or when you go to buy a chair, you should get that chair fitted from the ground up, from the suspension to the tires to the cushion to the back to the footrest to the frame. And you've got to think about, and here's the biggie. I think every person that has CP, and this is something that I want to see, because this bothers me. In most insurances, if you get a power chair, they will not cover a manual chair. And this pisses me off because I'll be honest, the power chairs that most people have weigh in between 300 and 600 pounds. And that's without the person sitting in them. So understand, if you don't have a modified van to get these chairs in a car, if you don't have a ramp or a huge trunk that the chair can sit up in, you're in a lot of trouble. I think that insurances should automatically be able to cover a chair for travel because they don't think about if my son or daughter doesn't have a chair that is manual and I have to pick up this big, chair that to move him or her around. When we go somewhere, we've got to get a van, and vans start anywhere from $40,000 to $65,000, and people don't think. See, insurances say, okay, we covered 80% of this. We're not going to cover a manual chair for you. You can get one or the other. That is straight bull. I'm going to tell you right now, that is straight bull. I don't believe in that. Because sometimes in homes that people live in, you can't fit these big clod-hopping chairs that go, can turn around on a dime. And they make all these new chairs that's got all these fangled contraptions in them. But the problem is, once you get it inside the house, you can't get it back out because if it weighs, 300 to 400 pounds by itself, and then your person with a disability sits inside of it, you're talking about another 125 to 300 pounds that gets on top of that. Are you really? I mean, that's not something that you can handle. So that's why I say insurances should allow a manual chair for travel for every person with CP. They need to change the law about being able to cover one chair or the other because I understand that all of this involves money. I understand the big talk everywhere you go, money, 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 money. Money makes the world go around, blah, 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 blah. We talked about this at the conference 3 weeks ago. Here's the thing. You've got to fight for what you want. Okay? Now, I will say your manual chair, in addition, you should be fitted for your manual chair as well as your power chair on both. I'm not talking about a hospital chair that you can just put somebody in and roll them. That may be convenient, okay, and that may work for a short distance. But the problem with that is it's not fitted to your child. It's not fitted to the person that has the disability. So if they are sitting in it for 15 or 20 minutes uncomfortably, they're not going to want to get in it. They're not going to want to be in it, and they're not going to want to be part of it. So I believe that insurances, whether it's Medicaid, whether it's Medicare, all the insurances out there should cover a power chair if need be and a manual chair, both for people to have when they travel, because it is very hard for parents with disabled children to lift these chairs into cars by themselves if they don't have a van, and then if they do go to get a van, they got to fork out $40,000 to $65,000 to get a van, not to mention repairs. Okay, so and then all of these things, not to mention once the warranty runs out, because Medicaid and Medicare will only cover a new chair. If I'm not mistaken, hey Ashley, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. Medicare and Medicaid will only cover a new chair, if I'm not mistaken, within every 5 years. That to me is a little far and fetched, because I honestly think it should be really 2 to 3. And I realize we're talking about money. I realize we're talking about, hey, Miss Deborah, thank you for joining me. I realize we're talking about a lot of money situations, and I realize things are going on, and it's going to be hard. But the change has to be made because, we need to look at ourselves as a community and say, okay, this needs to happen. If you can't afford a van and you've got a power chair and you need to go somewhere, or you need to get in a car. Hey, Charles, how you doing? Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. You should be able to have a manual chair and a power chair, and the insurance should pay for it in full. I'm not talking about Medicaid. I'm not talking about Medicare. I'm talking about insurance in general. Because if these insurance companies don't start realizing that we have to have, as a people, and I'm not talking about child, I'm not talking about adult, I'm talking about as a people, anyone with a disability that that needs a chair. They say, well, you can get a manual chair for this, or you can get a fitted for a power chair for this. One or the other. You can't have both. You know what? As I said before, that's solid bullshit, and I don't agree with it. I think that it should be on the fact both all people should be able to get a manual chair and a power chair if need to be. Now, some people just need a manual, and I understand that. There are some people that don't have power chairs. There are some folks with CP that think a power chair makes them lazy. But I'll tell you right now, when it comes to range of motion with pushing a power chair, pushing a manual chair, that is a difficult thing to do. Okay, you're going miles and miles, and you think about the steps that an ambulatory person takes. Okay, I think a mile is 5,280 feet. Okay, so when a wheelchair wheel rolls around, depending on the size, you're talking about when it makes a full rotation, depending on the size of the wheel, it's about 3.5 to 4 feet per rotation. So you times that, and you're pushing yourself, and if you don't have a range of motion where you can get your arms all the way back to get a good hard push, it's going to take you 15 minutes to an hour just to get to the end of a driveway. Okay? And again, this is where your occupational and physical therapists need to come together and say, okay, this John needs to be set for a power chair instead of a manual because of this. Now, and this is where a lot of therapists get you. So be careful. What I'm going to talk about right here is real important, so make sure you listen up real good. When you go to get evaluated for a power chair, you're going to be evaluated by an occupational and a physical therapist. If you are able to walk around the house, be very careful, because they will say because you're able to use your legs, we're not going to get you a power chair. They're going to say, we're not going to get you a power chair because you can use your legs. We're not going to get you a power chair because you're able to walk. If you need a power chair, make sure that you specify. Make sure that you specify that you need it for distance. Okay? You have to be very, very specific. Charles, I'll get to that in just a second, brother. That's a great comment. And I'll tell you right now, that's another thing. Actually, let me finish this thought. Make sure that you specify what you need your chair for, whether it's power or manual. If you're able to walk but you get tired easily and you're trying to build up your stamina, it also depends on feel. Okay, now I'm going to talk about something that a lot of people talk about: air tires versus foam tires. Okay, foam tires don't require air. They're built up all the time. They have what you need. You don't have to get them pressurized, all that stuff. You can take hunks out of them, roll over a nail, whatever, and they still go just as fine. The problem is when you're in a manual chair, a foam tire versus an air-filled tire feels totally different. And you don't have shocks in a manual chair. So when you go over a bump, okay, it's going to feel totally different in a foam tire or a compressed tire than it is an air tire, which has a little bit of give and press when you go over it. Okay, now Charles said, I have a boxing wheelchair. I made it by secondhand. And a lot of people are getting wheelchairs at flea markets and things like that. And all of that thing, and adapted them for themselves. And sometimes that can be done. The problem with that is a lot of those chairs are not covered by insurance, and to get them worked on, you pay full price to replace anything unless you can do it yourself. Now, if you can do it yourself and you have it that way, that's great. But you've got to look at everything that's thrown into that as far as what chair works for you. Now, I can tell you, I was in a manual chair until I was 18. Miss Smith said, great information, TJ. Although I am able to move around independently, it's still great information to know. Thank you so much for sharing. I have to run, but we will talk soon. All right. Thank you for tuning in. It's DJ, by the way, just to let you know. Not TJ, but that's okay. I still love you. So I understand that you've got to get what's right for you. Okay? Everything in this day and age, someone is trying to force you into something. Okay? You cannot be forced into a chair. You cannot be forced into a manual, into a power, whatever your chair is. Remember, the reason you don't want to be forced into this is because you're going to be sitting in this chair for most of the day. If you are wheelchair bound, you're going to be sitting in there most of the day. You're going to be sitting in there most of the night, depending on, because I'm in my chair between 8 and 12 hours a day, okay? I am, unless I'm in the bathroom or unless I'm in the bedroom, I am in the chair at between 8 to 12 hours a day, sometimes a little bit longer if I stay up. So when you get the chair that is right for you, and when you have it, make sure that it's fit to your accommodations, it's fit to what you want, and all of that. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about on the chair situation before we move on is adaptions, okay? There is a website that is, hey, Mr. Shepard, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it. There's a website where you can get a lot of neat stuff. It is sportaid.com. They have wheelchair gloves. They have cup holders. They have tires. They have inner tubes. They have footrests. They have sports creams. They have all this stuff for your chairs. Now, some of the stuff is covered by insurance. Some of the stuff is not. So you have to be careful on what you're buying. You have to be careful on what you're getting. And you have to know where you're going. It's a good idea to stock up in time, especially right now in times like this. Especially if you have a manual chair, you want to have 2 sets of tires and 2 sets of tubes, because when one goes bad, you want to be able to pop the other tubes on there to be able to get them in. Now, if you have a latex allergy, let me point this out real quick. You can actually get your tires and tubes put on by most bike shops. Most bike shops can actually put on a wheelchair tire and a wheelchair tube, which are latex based. So be careful. If you have a latex allergy, you can actually get your chair tire put on by a bike shop. They can also pump them up for you and get them get them in there. I actually, the problem with the gel that I have, Charles, is I've got the air valve cushion, the valve cushion where I can let the air out. The gel, for me, a lot of times the gel cushions will actually clump in one area, and you have to end up moving them back around. That's why I do a lot of pressure lifts with the chair valve cushion. I've got the Valvolite, the air valve cushion, which works really good. So again, and it's to each his own, because the equipment is going to work, better for some than others, and it all that you want to get. Now, you have to be careful buying secondhand equipment, especially in this time right now, dealing with all this crap that's going on. Okay, if you buy secondhand equipment, wipe it down. Spray it down with Lysol, bleach, whatever it is. Make sure you got your germ killer. Make sure you wipe this stuff down. I don't care how clean they tell you it is. I don't care how clean it looks. I don't care if they wipe the equipment down when you're buying it at the time of purchase. When you get that son of a gun home in your car, in your home, in your house, in your shed, wipe it down, because all this crap that's going on right now, we need to be thinking about what we're doing, and we need to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves and the equipment that we work. And again, when you buy secondhand equipment, I cannot stress this enough, whether you buy it at a pawn shop, whether you buy it on Craigslist, whether you buy it from a thrift store, whether you buy it from somebody else, all you have is the paperwork they give you, and based on what they tell you, you need to inspect this equipment thoroughly. When I say thoroughly, I'm talking about battery testers, voltage meters. Make sure the tires don't have gashes in them. Make sure there are not holes in the inner tube. Make sure it's not ripped or punctured. Make sure it's not scratched up. Once you wipe it down and you get it all sanitized, make sure that you're able to use it before you buy it. Don't buy something unless you know for sure that you're getting a good deal and you've had a chance to see it, use it, and make sure that it's clean. This is where doing your research comes in, and it's vital that you do your research to make sure that you know what you're getting product-wise and everything. That's pretty much all I've got on chairs. Now, I want to talk about something when it comes to CP in general. I believe that whether you're verbal or whether you're nonverbal, however you communicate, the key with getting cerebral palsy back on the map is going to be communication. Anything to do with cerebral palsy, anything to understand, we have to stop misrepresenting cerebral palsy. It is not a disease. It is a birth defect. You cannot catch it. It is not genetic. Cerebral palsy is not genetic. That is a biggie. It is a birth defect, which in most cases where there is a lack of oxygen to the brain for a period of time. Sometimes 2 minutes, sometimes 3 minutes, sometimes 7 minutes. Sometimes you're brought back from the brink of death. Cerebral palsy is a birth defect. I want people in America to stop thinking that you cannot talk to somebody or be friends with somebody or communicate with somebody because they look different than you do and they have a disability. That doesn't make them any different than you. The only difference is they're able to do things, and they have to do things differently than you do them. You look at us, and we as humans are skin, bone, organs, and water. But what you don't want to miss, and what you want to remember at a time like this, is everybody has a soul. Okay? Remember that in this life, we are going to go through so many things. Some are rough, some are hard, some are smooth. Life never goes like this. Life always does this. You're going to have up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, no matter what you do, no matter where you go, no matter how life goes, it's never going to be smooth all the time. But we need to look at each other with cerebral palsy, and I'm talking about cerebral palsy only. And as I said, this show is going to be all cerebral palsy all the time. I believe in other disabilities, and I believe that all disabled people should be treated fairly, but I'm talking about CP on the mainframe. Got to get a drink of water, guys. Sorry, my mouth is dry. Hang on just 1 second. Bear with me. About to lose it. Hold on. Woo! Thank you, Jesus. Got a good old sip of water there. Good. That's what I call high quality H2O. All right, so little Mandula Abu got it there for you. Just want to let y'all know. All right, so basically, when it comes down to it, and it may, a lot of people, that initial reaction, what I call that knee-jerk reaction, people are shocked at what they see, and then they don't understand it, so they're confused. Okay, so I'm going to try to do this from both sides. Okay, for the next 20 minutes or so, what we're going to talk about today, and again, if you guys have topics that you want to talk about or something that you want to hear about, do me a favor, email me. me, CarterDJ85 at gmail.com or the Sportsmanian Radio Show at yahoo.com. I have changed my YouTube channel to where it is now My CP does not define me, but the Sportsmanian Radio Show is still there. All the emails are still the same. Any questions that you guys have or a question that you want to ask me on the show or possibly about being a guest, on the show, email me, let me know, contact me on Messenger, contact me on Facebook. I will get back to you guys, and I would love to hear from you because without you guys, this show doesn't run. I don't want to just bring topics up by myself. I want to have people email me, talk to me, tell me what you want to hear about. But what I want to talk about right now, with about the last 20 minutes we've got left in this show, is it's called Both Sides of the Story, okay? And at the end of the show, each week, I'm going to leave you with a thought, okay? I call it a nugget of knowledge. Each week, I'm going to leave you with a thought called a nugget of knowledge to try to push through and get you right where you want to be, okay? But we're going to talk about both sides of the story right now. So, a person that is walking, okay, I've never been able to walk on my own. I've been able to walk with a walker and crutches. Understand that. So where we're coming from right now, when a person sees another person in a chair, I can't speak for everybody because I haven't been there and I haven't talked to everybody. But most of the people that I talk to that are scared of CP or don't understand CP, they are basically, they don't understand what they are seeing and why a person looks the way they do because of muscle atrophy or something like that. See, CP can affect so many things, and this is what we have to remember as people. CP can affect actually from the top of the head to the tip of the toe because it can affect every muscle in the body. Remember, the tongue is a muscle. Everything that is involved is a muscle, okay? And you got to remember, CP can affect the nervous system. It can affect the muscles of the body. It can affect the circulatory system. It can affect swallowing. It can affect speech. It can affect all of these things. And that's why, some of the speech impediments that you see, some of them they're delayed. Okay? This does not mean retarded. Let me throw that out there. I hate that word, and I hate the word crippled. I can't stand it. I don't believe, and I don't even like saying mentally delayed because it makes a person sound what they're not. Okay, again, we're talking about something where someone does something differently. It doesn't mean that they have a problem or that they can't do it or that they won't do it or that they don't understand it. What it means is that they do it differently. Charles just said, I hate when people put all people with CP in one box. That there's levels of CP. I agree 110%. And I've said this so many times throughout my sports shows when I did, my CP topics. Every case of cerebral palsy is different. Every single case. Some are mild and some are major. But the major cases, look, don't let them freak you out. Don't let the way a person looks freak you out. The way I look should freak you out because I know I look good. Anyway, okay, let me just stop right there because I ain't even trying to go down that road, y'all. Look, you're gonna see a person. A lot of people with cerebral palsy that use power chairs. Their necks it affects the muscles in their neck. So they're not able to hold their heads up. So you'll see a person with CP talking like this. Now, I want to show you something, okay? When my head is down, okay, sometimes it's like this. They can't hold their head up. If they can't hold their head up, when they speak, they're going to press down right here on the muscles of their vocal cords. And as those words, they have to strain to get those words out. And they have to push hard to get those words out. So as that happens, it may sound like it's restricted. And you got to remember, if a person is doing this and they're restricted, it's going to be a point where that may happen. Okay? Another person, eye move. Another thing you may see, eye movement. Understand, the eye is a muscle. I cannot stress this enough. Y'all ain't see that one coming, did you? Ah, you see what I did there? I like that. Charles put the smiley face up. Okay, go ahead, big man. I got you. I understand. The eye is a muscle. And my voice just cracked. Y'all, things are going to happen on live radio, y'all. Y'all stick with me. I love you. Trust me. Trust me. I'm still in it. I'm still in it. Understand, the eye is a muscle. Everything that happens with the eye is controlled by the brain and muscle movement. And the biggest way that I can explain CP to help people understand is if you think about a bridge, okay, and you're talking about the bridge from the top of your brain to the bottom of your toe, okay, and in this bridge, there are sections missing to where you can't get across. Think about the brain having to send a message somewhere, somehow, and get it to your arm. That's why when you see a lot of people with CP, they raise one arm, both arms go up, because it's called a pattern blockage. What it is, the brain is trying to get to one arm, but it can't. So it's sending the message frantically, trying to push that message down, and what happens is both arms end up going up like this, and you see a lot of spasticity. You see spasms. You see uncontrollable muscle movements. You're going to see a person in a chair, and you may see this right here. They may be moving all around, and neck may just be moving, and you can't figure out what's going on, and you're scared to death. Look, understand, things happen with cerebral palsy that you've never seen before. Okay, you ever played a video game and lost 251 times on the first level, and you try to beat it like Bloodborne on PS4, and you lose 251 times, but then you finally get past it? Think about it that way. You've got to look at exactly what you're seeing as an individual. If you freak out, what do you think the person with CP is going to do? They're going to freak out, which is going to cause them to move a little more and move faster and move more frantic. Look, the key here that I'm trying to make, and the point here that I'm trying to make, is this. Stop looking so much at the physical parts of what you see. Stop looking so much at the physical parts of what is in front of your eyes. Go and talk to the person and give them a chance to explain themselves and ask them questions. Lord God Almighty above, do not assume. The worst thing you can do with cerebral palsy is assume. What do I mean by that? Oh, let me get that for you. Oh, you can't pick that up. I'll get it off the ground. Look, if a person with CP needs help, if they're able to communicate with you and tell you, they will tell you when they need help. If you help them and they don't need help, they might run you over, okay? And you may deserve it. So understand, if you help somebody with CP and they don't want help, you might have a broken leg and end up in a chair too. So eventually, we're all going to get along because we're all going to be in the same boat. Everybody once in their life, has either sat in a chair or been in a chair for, I'm hoping everybody for once in their life has been in a chair for a little bit. Not saying something happened to you, but that doesn't mean that you understand the experience of what it means and what it feels like to be in a chair all the time. See, that's the big issue with CP that right now doesn't change. And that's where you've got to understand as an individual that this is not something that changes. This is not something that you see just during the day. This is not something just that you see at night. This is an all the time thing. And this is exactly how the person is, or he or she is, and how they're going to be. But if you treat them as a normal person with nothing wrong, you will go a lot further than treating them like something is wrong with them. Okay? You will go a lot further in treating them like they are important. You will go a lot further in treating them like they are valuable because they mean something to you, because they are your friend. Treat them as what they are. Don't treat them as what you see. Treat them for their heart, because you know what? Nobody can see the heart inside the chest, but it's there. Okay? Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. And you have to understand, try to put the shoe on the other foot. How would you feel? How would you feel if somebody didn't talk to you because you were in a chair? Well, if you don't know, think about it. If you had one leg, one arm, how would you feel if you got treated differently because of that? Okay? So let me go over my information one more time just to get you guys caught up to date. And I also want to leave you with the thought of the week, okay? All right, my information, if you have a question about the show, My CP Does Not Define Me, every Wednesday from 2 to 3 o'clock. The Sports Minion Radio Show is every Friday from 5:30 to 6, okay? I have redefined my YouTube, or revamped my YouTube page to My CP Does Not Define Me. All of the Sports Minion episodes are still there. All of that's going on. Let me get this comment in here that Charles just did. I don't like doing media interviews like TV. I can't get my words quick enough. I dumb down my speech due to that. I hate that. I have an IQ of 150. I bet you do, brother. I'm telling you right now, you are one of the smartest individuals I've ever met. And I believe in you. I believe in what you do. And I appreciate you supporting the show and being part of it. You can reach me at CarterDJ85 at gmail.com. You can also reach me at the Sports Minion Radio Show at yahoo.com. If you want to discuss a topic, if you want to discuss something on the show, if you possibly want to be a guest, if somebody knows a topic that they would like to talk about, again, you can contact me at gmail.com or the Sports Minion Radio Show at yahoo.com. All of these shows will be posted on my YouTube as well, and that is My CP Does Not Define Me. So you will see that it's got the green background with the words My CP Does Not Define Me and my picture with my wife up in the background, up in the corner. Yes, I'm married and I'm a lucky man. Let me tell you. So that is how that works. If you would like to contact me on Facebook, you can look me up under DJ Carter or Dennis Carter. Those are my profiles that I have. And you can actually message me about something that you would like to talk about. CP related. Do not make it anything outside of CP. If you have a question, ask me and I'll try my best to answer it. But that does not mean I'm going to cover it on the show if it is not CP related. I want to get that out there and make sure you guys understand this show is strictly dedicated to cerebral palsy. Now, a description of this show, there is a link. Okay, it is a YouTube link. You will see when you right click on the entire link, you will see an option that says go to YouTube channel. You can go to that YouTube channel and subscribe and see the Sports Minion Radio Show in a playlist and see My CP Does Not Define Me in a playlist as well. So you guys will have the option to contact me to check it out. You can see all the episodes on Facebook Live. And we're live on www.letgoradio.net. I will have guests on the show periodically. My buddy Josh is going to be on the show. He was on here earlier today. We're going to have him hopefully next week. I wanted to get everything up and running. All right, now let me leave you with this thought of the day. Okay? My thought for today is, sometimes in life, you're going to go through adversity. Do not fear adversity. Use it as fuel to push yourselves through the barriers that you face. The only thing you cannot do is the things you do not try. Let no one tell you what you cannot do, because they may be questioning it themselves. Okay? You cannot let someone push you into a corner. You have to fight. You have to live but all you can do is the best that you can. And remember, that has to be good enough for you. And I appreciate that, Charles. Thank you so much. I mean, it means the world to me. It really does, dude. You're an awesome individual. I love you to death, and I appreciate it. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. I want to thank everybody for listening to the show. My CP Does Not Define Me, episode 2 redo. We got no phone calls this time. I got all the way through the show without the phone ringing, but I'm going to tell y'all why. That's because I gave it to my wife and let my wife handle it. I didn't take the phone this time. I let my wife handle it. I love my wife. She's my sunshine. She's my support. She's my rock. I could do anything without her. I want to give a special shout out to Edwina Wilson. I love you so much, Miss Winnie. You are amazing. Thank you for this opportunity. Guys, please keep the questions and comments coming in. And always know that I love you and I'm here for you. And I want to get CP back on the map. This is D to the J with the roll away. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to episode 2. Catch me next Wednesday on Facebook Live, YouTube, and most of all, www.letgoradio.net, where I'm going to talk about CP because my CP does not define me or you for that matter. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Take care. I love you so much. We'll see you soon.